right. How are you doing?
Oh, you sound wonderful. Do you have a new mic?
Um, I've had the SM7B for like about a month, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing. Let me put you in picture here. Rev, we'd love to give you the floor for 5 minutes here. I will try to keep folks to time today. Would love to just, have a dialogue with you as well, but curious, what your take is on these particular headlines or another topic if you'd rather.
I mean, I guess it's probably hard not to speak to the particular headlines and not to and then to not speak to the problem, as a whole. And with issues around mental health, being someone who's bipolar, who has ADHD, who was homeless, who's had a lot of issues over the years, and known a lot of people with a lot of issues. That in Illinois, one of the things that they do here is really interesting, and you're not going to get this from a lot of people. That I'm a pretty hard left guy. Most people know that by now, but I don't have a particular problem if somebody wants to own a shotgun and a handgun, and that's it. You know what I mean? A couple shotguns, a couple handguns, whatever. You hunt, you target, shoot, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not going to begrudge anybody that, but handguns, long guns, and mental health issues. You know what they do in Illinois? It takes 90 days to get your first, or a little less, but to get your first gun because you have to become registered as a gun owner. And actually, you have to be registered as a person who's allowed to own guns, actually. And then you have the 1 day and the 3 day waiting period. But they do a massive background check on you when you first sign up in Illinois. And I'm not saying that that's what has kept those shootings down here, because of course we have a huge problem with shootings on the west side and the south side of Chicago, and that's a whole different story, which I would love for us to get a chance to talk about one of these days. But having having guns around people with mental health issues is not a good thing. That said, it's also not something that somebody should be able to get out of, what they did because they claim to have an issue here or there. So um, to me, you just look at places like Australia, look at places like England. England's got a pretty serious knife crime, knife fighting problem, but I'd rather have a bunch of people running around fighting each other with knives than AK-47s. I mean, not either of them aren't a good thing, but that's kind of where I am on it, and I'm just sending love and just deep thoughts of of hope, and to everybody that's affected by this. Look, there's nothing anybody can say that makes a difference. There's a giant hole right now, and hopefully that hole will get a little smaller over time, but it sucks, and there's nothing anybody can do about it except us be up here and talking about it. So yeah, I'll jump off my soapbox now and
Yeah, it's not.
join the
It's
group.
actually no. That's actually really interesting, Rev, and I appreciate your input, especially given that you're coming from the state of Illinois. You mentioned the shootings in Chicago. I'm well
Mhm.
aware of the fact that there's been a big spike. What I am ignorant about though is what types of weapons are being used in those shootings. Are they semi-automatic rifles or are they
Mhm.
pistols? Is there a
Okay,
correlation there?
yeah, not being an absolute expert on it, obviously, on the type of weapons, but yeah, it's mostly handguns, mostly coming from Indiana, a lot of them coming legally, but then are sold illegally in Illinois. Access to handguns are super easy one state over. Remember, I just told you how hard it is to get a gun in Illinois, and but you can get one, and you can concealed carry too. I mean, you're allowed to do it, but it's a bit of a process. But you could just drive over to Indiana, go to a gun show, pick up a gun, 20 guns, 100 guns, and sell them to gang members here in Chicago. They have a lot of routes, but the biggest way the guns are coming. There are occasionally some gang fights with some AKs, some that kind of stuff. You hear about those, but not very often. It's going to be shotguns and handguns, stuff easily concealable. from my understanding. And like I said, I'm not an expert, but the problem in Chicago communities isn't mental health. It's not guns. It's jobs. It's white supremacy. It's white privilege. You know what I mean? Those are the things that are the problems in Chicago. It's access to affordable health care. It's access to affordable places to live. It's access to being treated like a decent human being by the class that oppresses. So yeah.
That's about time here, 10 seconds. I would love to bring Randy up on screen. Randy, thanks for joining us here. Imagine you have some interesting perspectives to offer as well. Randy, thanks for joining us. How are you doing today? How are things in the kingdom?
Hey, what's happening, Peter? Hello, and thank you. Reb, hello, and Mr. Douglas, how are
Hey, man,
you?
how you doing?
Yeah, I've been sitting back watching a little bit of the happenings in the U.S. from abroad, and looking. Actually, my news comes from either the Twitter or the Google, and it's not necessarily the news, but the reaction to the way the news is being presented is what most people that I run around with or in the area where I reside, we don't look at the news as much as we look at the action or reaction of the news. And I'm not really familiar. I think there was a mass shooting in Colorado. I don't know a lot about it, but the bigger talk over here is how they turned around what was perceived to be the man who went into the massage parlor or what have you and killed the ladies and made that about racism. When the man from clearly stated that he had a sexual problem and he was spending his money at massage parlors, but how we let a crazed sex maniac change all of America's mind to say, oh, wait a minute, we're racist now against Asians. So that's what we're seeing is looking from the outside, wondering how they spun this around. That's just my view. And I think there's hundreds of people that think the same way. How did we turn around a mass shooting from a sex fiend into an Asian race thing? I felt it was a big spin. Now, there's a lot that may say, hey, oh, well, it's not a spin. I'm sure there may be some Asian racism, but to use a single event to broadcast that story over and over again, I'm really not really into that.
And I think the hard thing from my perspective, on your perspective, Randy, is you're in the kingdom of Saudi Arabia and you're not in the United States right now and don't really have that pulse. And I feel we talked about this before. You and I.
We haven't talked about this before, and I disagree with you in most things you say, but I'm willing to be up here on the screen.
Well, there we go.
I respect you.
I respect you too, man. And I think I think what's happening, here is.
See, what you can't do is spin around my thoughts and my feelings to change them to your feelings. And that's what I see
I'm not going to do that
throughout the news media world. Everybody wants to say, wait a minute, Randy, you can't feel that way. That's wrong. No, but I see it where I can feel that way. And I'll leave it at that. I'm sorry to be argumentative. I've had too much coffee today. Love you guys.
Randy, look, dialogue is what we want on this thing, right? And we're not always going to agree. If we did, it'd be kind of, I don't know. I mean, in some ways it'd be a good thing, but I think the perspective of various people is really good. I think the perspective of what we're seeing in other countries about this, I just saw a couple other comments from different people in the world, I think is really good too. And all of us telling it from our point of view, is very important. And the fact that we have this to do here is a good thing.
Well, Randy, I'd like to, in reference to what you were saying, so I have a lot of Asian American friends and I live here on the West Coast where there are an enormous amount of Asian Americans. And it's possible that this shooting of these women who worked in these massage facilities is the tipping point of the end. It's coming at the end of something that's been going on for quite a long time, even prior to the pandemic. I think that once our former president started to use phrases that were in some ways pejorative towards Asian American community or just Asians just generally, who's equating the COVID with specifically Chinese people. I think that there was an uptick. It's actually a fact. There was an uptick in hate crimes towards Asians, especially on the West Coast.
Well, being the father of two Asian children, married to an Asian, with over 7,000 Asian relatives in Southern California, not one of them has said, I felt more suppressed than before. So I
So,
appreciate your
so
view.
no, that's fine. I wasn't quite done though. So, what I'm saying though is it's coming at the heels of a couple of hundred years of suppression and things that's really been really easy for America to forget about. We're talking like building railroads. We're talking about westward expansion. We're talking about the gold rush. We're talking about the Japanese, what a lot of people call an internment camp. I call it a concentration camp during World War II. There are a lot of things that I think have built up to this particular moment. And you've got a lot of activist young people who are very engaged on social media and feel very empowered. And this particular moment may be that threshold for them. It is not specifically only about this shooting of these women. It is just the end cap of, I'd say, a couple hundred years, and more specifically the past 4 years of contempt and hatred towards Asian Americans. That's just me postulating. That's all I was trying to say.
I can understand your thought behind that, but it confuses me how you can relate this something that happened before your birth and put it on the backs of me and the people that are living in today's time. I'm
Well, I
tired
mean,
of suffering for history. I'm living today with my family and my children and what we're doing to life to make it better. To put the burden of the mistakes of the others on the past on the backs of the society of today, I feel that's unfair. But I understand where you're coming from. It emphasizes your way of thinking. So you can take it back further and further and find any colluded issue and put it on the stack of today's meaning to make it more presentable and more honest and more believable. And that's
because
how
the
I feel
past
about
doesn't
when I hear you
past
talk like
doesn't
this.
influence us at all, Randy. The Constitution's 250 years old. We should just throw it out. It's the past. It's no good.
We're
It
not into
doesn't
the
apply.
Constitution. You're changing the subject.
No, I'm not changing the subject. I'm just kind of talking about the past. Like you can't
Anyway,
like
I
my
would like a
past is
rebuttal from Douglas, if you don't mind, sir.
well, yeah, that's fine, but just hang on just a second here. I want to agree with what Douglas is saying, and I also want to point out that most people in America have this misconception that Asians are extremely wealthy. Like, oh, why do they have any problems? Well, you know who the poorest group in New York City is per capita? It's Asians. You know what I mean? All of these misconceptions that we have about people, those are part of the problem, right? So embracing love, happiness, joy, togetherness, inclusiveness, which I know you're about, is what we all need to be about. And having good, well framed discussions are important. And Douglas, I will let you rebut with Randy.
And before you rebuttal, by the way, Douglas, my name's Randy, and I stir the pot on purpose. So never take me too hard. I kind of like stirring the pot to make things exciting. And it's great to meet you, Douglas.
It's nice to meet you too, Randy. You remind me of one of my aunts.
Come up,
Okay.
Michelle.
Is it the beard?
We have with us another guest here. We're about at 5 minutes again. Would love to just say hi to Ella. I know you're here with just audio. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, of course. Ella, thank you so much for coming up and joining here impromptu. Tell us, your perspective here or headlines that you're paying attention to.
Yeah, so I also can see both sides, but uniquely here, I am an Asian woman who owns my own small business, and the event in Atlanta, I don't actually see it as a singular event. And to Randy's point, yes, in and of itself, if you only want to take that individual's viewpoint, I mean the murderer, if you only want to listen to his viewpoint and take that event as a singular independent event, I can see Randy's point. However, Asian American women are much more likely to work in such an industry and be viewed as those who are most likely to be viewed in such an industry. So, if you put all those variables together, and on top of keeping track of the trends, which I am so acutely aware of during the past year, that has been I don't have the stats right on top of my head, but if you guys keep track of what's happened in the Bay Area, in New York, in Atlanta, there's recently been a grandma who was attacked and she fought back. That individual Asian grandma, her GoFundMe page has reached over 1 million, and she just declared that she will give it all back to the AAPI. There are so many repeated events, and from my perspective also, luckily, knock on wood, I'm knocking on my own head right now, that I have not personally witnessed anything that violent. However, I have witnessed repeatedly the increase of xenophobic behavior to myself, to my shop, to my produce, to my produce. I don't sell vegetables. To my product, and to my salespeople. So much so that more than once I have had to ask my very sweet young salespeople to just close the shop because I do not want to be responsible for their safety because I insist that my shop be open. It has been like that extreme, and it's a trend. I've been in business for probably close to 4 years with my own shop in various different places, and never have I witnessed such an increase of xenophobic behavior towards Asians. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Ella, where are you located?
I'm in Walnut Creek, California, about 30 minutes away from San Francisco.
Got
I'm
East
in
Bay.
an outrageously diverse area, a very wealthy area, in such a place where I deemed it personally safe to open a one-person fish tank kind of outdoors fish tank, what do you call it, a kiosk kind of situation, because I'm a very small business. I just want to be there for exposure and for diversity of products, because I'm in a swanky high-end mall with Neiman on one end and Macy's and Nordstrom on the other, and I live very close by. So
That's why you dress so nice, Ella. I was wondering why. You live right next to Neiman. That's why you're always
yeah,
dressed
right.
so
And
nice.
I'm not claiming I can afford any of the fashions there, but because I know I contribute that kind of product diversity. Every other store is like cookie cutter, but since it's in such a well-to-do neighborhood and such a diverse environment, I completely deemed it safe for me to be standing out there by myself alone at 9 o'clock at night. However, during the last 6 months, no longer. I watch my back all the time. So okay, that's all.
All right, I will go ahead and step down to make more space for more people, Peter, so it doesn't get too crowded. Thank you for letting me come in and be a little argumentative with no ill harm, just coming
Yeah,
in to
no,
try
I
to
mean
stir the pot.
we do need to hear all perspectives and then reach decisions that fit our own experiences and what we see, right? So that's how we have intelligent conversations and all get something out of it.
Exactly, Ella. Thank you very much. See you folks later.
You're welcome. Yeah, so if you guys don't mind like looking in my profile later when you have a chance, one of my dear friends, they're Korean. She and her very, very talented 14-year-old daughter, they are in the process of making a music video as a tribute to all the recent Asian hate crime victims. What she's asked me to do is just hold up a sign that says, "Stop Asian Hate," and take a selfie, and then submit it to them, and they will include it in their music video tribute. So if you guys have the time, take a picture with it, and then you can even put a mask on. Don't need to reveal your identity, and absolutely do not need to be Asian.
Ella, where's it at on your page?
It is in my profile, but you can also, I think the actual picture, the sign itself, if you visit my Instagram, my Bunny Valentine, you can go to my profile and just go to my Instagram page from there.
Good. Yeah, I just wanted to put the link up there, but maybe Peter or Pablo could grab it too and put it up there maybe. I just followed you on Instagram too.
Thank you. And I haven't had an opportunity to speak up a lot because I am like a lot of Asian upbringing culture and a little shy. I'm brand new to the broadcasting world. I came in about like 2 months ago, and so I haven't had a chance to talk about anything this serious. But since given the opportunity, I think it's my duty, my honor to represent my people a little bit.
We're so glad you're here. Yeah, we appreciate your bravery and coming up and sharing your perspective, Ella. I think we have with us another HAPS community member here, Joe. Oh, nope, we just lost him again. Looks like there's some connection issues there. I just want to take a moment to invite everyone up. Joy, Aiden, Italian Stallion, Candy, Eleanor, it looks like Eleanor is about to get the vaccine. That's exciting. Michelle, we'd love to have you up here and share your opinion if you'd like. No pressure, but anyone is welcome to participate here.
Yeah, so a few other families I've talked to, they're actually a little too shy to come online with me to talk about their experiences. And that is, good, bad, or indifferent, kind of indicative of a lot of our culture. So, for those of you who have the opportunity, you, again, don't need to be Asian. If you can take a little bit of your time and your fame to talk about it in your broadcast and bring this to light, we would sincerely appreciate it.
Yeah.
And this kind of activity is very, very underreported. Yeah, I even had to think twice that one time where I did get a stalker at my shop. Um,
That's
I was
terrifying.
somewhat afraid to report it, but I got over it. It had to be done for the sake of not only myself but others.
Wow, I'm glad that you reported that and that you were safe. We have with us another guest, Raj from Toronto. Raj, you're here with us. Can you hear us? You're on screen now.
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Thanks for joining. We appreciate you coming in and would love to hear. This is an open topic here. Generally, the way this goes is we have folks chat about their perspective or headline that they're paying close attention to. So feel free to take us off topic. That's totally fine. Raj, just want to welcome you. Thanks for coming on.
Well, appreciate the invite to come up and say something. As to what Ella was talking about, I kind of feel like this is deja vu for me from 9/11 and multiple other times after 9/11, where the Indian community was targeted or is targeted in general. Things really changed. At least I feel for my community post 9/11. I actually was supposed to travel through the Boston airport on 9/11, and I actually took a flew standby like 4 days earlier, just so I could get to school on time. But at the time, anyways, my point being is that the racism isn't new. I just think that people are more open to talking about it. I felt like during 9/11, there was a lot of abuse that was happening, and it just felt like a lot of people just didn't give a damn. And I kind of feel I've seen a lot of pushback in certain communities against the narrative of that Asians are being targeted, and there's a lot of background going into Asians in general, whether South or East Asians, being put up as these model minorities and that whole business. But yeah, in general, I've been acutely aware of the racism since childhood, and I'm coming from Canada. I did a lot of my education in the U.S., and it's all I've known. I've been called things that I probably can't even say on HAPS, but sand and among other derogatory terms that people like to lob my way. And I don't know. I don't feel like people really understand what it's like to be a visible minority in America or in Canada, like in the Western world.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I would like to invite up Vanita, Knowledge, Kim. It looks like you're not able to join, but really value your opinion. Raj, thanks for having the courage to come up and speak your truth and your perspective. We really value that.
I appreciate that, Raj, too, that you pointed out that thing that should be obvious, that we don't have a perspective of what it's like to be a minority in this country, and I appreciate that you pointed out for people, because it's certainly not your responsibility to do so. And yeah,
I just find that some opinions come from a place of I mean, where I went to high school, being a global citizen and global perspectives was something that was really drilled into me. I don't feel like a lot of people had that benefit, and so as somebody of a visible minority, because there are Indians who pass for white, and you know, when we get together and we talk about our experiences, I always find it interesting because we always have similar experiences in certain aspects, and then other ways, even like applying for a job or what have you. There's like a lot of like your name sounds foreign, so they assume you can't speak English or that you'd be difficult to train, um, regardless of whether I went to Villanova or wherever, University of Western, whatever. It didn't matter where I did my degree from. It was just this assumption based on my name, and it's something that's very I don't know. Something that my community here that I have in Toronto, we've been like, we talk about like it, and it comes out a lot.
Right. Would like to welcome up Vanita. Thank you so much for joining. How are you doing today? I think we have you here. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, great. We got you.
My connection is not the greatest, Peter, remember.
That's okay. If you need to, you can do audio only as well, if that's what it takes to get a clear connection. Keep speaking. I think we can hear you guys. Can you hear her?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you better now.
So, Peter, what is the subject about? I'm lost.
So, as is the case with this format here, we are kind of having a free-form discussion. It started with, the headlines of these two mass shootings, and has kind of segued into everything from gun rights to discrimination against Asian Americans, and other topics. We welcome you to really express your opinion about those issues, or take a different headline that is perhaps relevant to your area of the world, and share that if you want. But we generally give people roughly 5 minutes to express their opinion about relevant news topic or commentary on it.
Well, I've lived in the US for 32 years. I don't feel I've had any issues. I think the American people, black or white, are all nice to me and my family. I've come from India. I've married an American, and I've had 4 kids with him. So there are certain places when you go to, but that's everywhere. You know, it's just here in the U.S. So I wouldn't have any opinion on that. I think I'm fairly treated right, and I've worked in retail for about 23 years. And when you come up, they think that you're Indian and you're not smart and you don't know how to talk. But when they start talking to you, it's a totally different aspect. You know, people start liking you. And I don't think I've ever had an issue as far as racism goes, because I'm very open and I'm very neutral to things because I work in retail and I have to have a very open, broad mind. You know, broad-minded is very, very important. You have to be broad-minded, and you know, just like every place, everybody has different opinions. You take it like a grain of salt. And I love America. I have absolutely no problem with any caste, creed, or culture. So that's my opinion. I don't know what else I can say. So, yep. So that's my answer.
Nice to hear from you, Vanita. Nice to see you again, too.
Definitely. Sorry, I'm just inviting more folks up from the audience here, trying to multitask. Really appreciate you sharing that.
I'm going to jump down, Peter, too. I got to do a couple things, and I'm going to keep listening, though, and really appreciate you for putting this together. Is this the same time as last time? Like, is this going to be regular, or?
This wasn't the exact same time. We're trying to do it, you know, once or twice a week here to have, you know, some discussion about contemporary issues. And, you know, this is something we encourage you to copy and also emulate. We love this, you know, ability for people to come and join in these discussions from the comments here. So please, you know, feel free to make this format your own as well, Rev, and others.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Take it easy.
Take
Good
care.
to see you.
You too. You guys.
Peter, one more thing is, if you have an open heart and if you have good
Oh, looks like we lost you there.
We lost our audio.
I feel like we're at the precipice of something profound, and alas, Vanita, hopefully we can get you back here. Welcome, Naomi, Cheryl, Magic, Moose, Bernie. I'm sending some invites here if you'd like to join in on the discussion. Oh, Douglas, do we have Vanita back?
Oh, there she is.
I only have one thing to say. Sometimes people have different opinions. Everybody's not the same. Each mind thinks different. But I think when you are a positive person and people bring in the negative energy, you got to sometimes think and say, hey, do I really want to listen to these people? Sometimes you can have a mind of your own and say, you know, I think positivity always rules over the negativity, and that's just how I look at it. So
I appreciate those words. I will say I've learned a few things from a series that's on Hulu, a television series, and it's called Rami. It's about a young Egyptian American man living in New Jersey. I learned quite a bit about what it's like to be a young Egyptian living in America in today's age, and also as you were talking about earlier, you know, at post 9/11, it's sort of the show kind of does flashbacks to 9/11, and culturally is eye-opening, and also it's honestly there's a lot of hope in the show, and it's also hilarious. I highly recommend that show. It's been eye-opening.
Yeah. But you know, being from India, when I first came to the States in 1991, my husband is white and I'm from India. I did see a lot of people staring us down, you know, like if I went to Walmart, that's the thing. We used to go to Walmart. My kids were little. We used to go buy ice cream. People would stare me down and say, and I was in Miss Mississippi, Alabama. So anyway, go with my husband to the grocery store. Everybody stared me down. Like they would be like, I cannot believe this Indian lady is married to this white man. And I did get stared down a lot. I've been through a lot of those racial things, but at the end of the day, it did not matter to me because I am who I am and this is how it is. I'm here to stay and I'm going to adapt by the American ways. Doesn't mean that I'm going to forget where I came from. So that's how I look at it. And so, yeah, positivity always wins.
Can I
Be
say
positive.
something?
Of course.
Yes. Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
So there's actually I don't know if anybody's watched Hassan Minaj's bit. He had a show on Netflix, and if some people are aware of it or not, but in that he had an actual interesting thing because he talked about the immigrants' view of how America is versus the the firstborn American child, compared like him versus his father's opinion about racism and things like that, and how him as a American born Muslim Indian son would dare to believe like that certain things should be a certain way and that he shouldn't have to compromise, whereas a generation of people like my parents, for example, who came to Canada as immigrants, their opinion was keep your head down, do your work, and people will appreciate you for those things, and the expectation that the Canadian, or in this case American dream, is that's the price you pay to be here, whereas we have the audacity to say no, that's the price my parents paid, but I'm not paying it. I'm not willing to accept these shortcomings of society, and that society needs to recognize and move forward. And I think I'm of his opinion, where I think that we have to push the bar forward and move things in the right direction. And it's not easy, and I think that that's a conversation that probably happens generation to generation. But I think that it's a conversation worth having for sure.
Are you speaking of his Netflix special, Homecoming, or are you speaking of his Patriot Act series?
I think it was from his Patriot Act, but I can probably I can try and find the clip on YouTube while everybody else is speaking, and I can share it in the comments. But it was a bit of one monologue that he did that I think really kind of put it forward, because like I'll give you an example. My sister's married to a white guy as well, and she has children, and some of the experiences she's had where people would even question if she was the mother of her children, or question or just assume that she was the nanny, and things like that. Like my parents would be like, oh, well, don't make waves, just do your work, do your, get your degrees and live. Whereas like, I said, but like, for me and my sister, it's unacceptable. Right. And we dare to believe that it's unacceptable. And so I just,
but can I ask you where you're from, where you live, where do you live right now?
So I live in Toronto, right? I'm born and raised Canadian. I've done I've lived all over the world, and for school, and I lived and
Mm-hmm.
worked in the U.S. for quite a while, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm Canadian through and through,
Sonia.
and I would say my experience in Canada has been a lot better than it was in the U.S. My time in the U.S. is pretty much
Oh.
post 9/11, but the kinds of racism that I experienced in the U.S. Were, in
Oh.
my opinion, fairly extreme and
Mm-hmm.
not the best. But that's besides the
Yeah.
point. I still think that I
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of family and friends in the U.S., and there
Mm-hmm.
is a dichotomy between my cousins who came from India and uh, came to
Mm-hmm.
the U.S. or Canada versus their children, and so
Hmm.
um,
See, I don't see it that way. I just have a different opinion. I don't
no,
see it that
and
way.
I'm
I
not that
don't
I
see
don't think that I'm trying
that
to
we.
invalidate your opinion. I don't want anybody to think that. I'm just
Mm,
saying that it's a different point.
yeah,
It's a different perspective
yeah.
I'm bringing.
Yeah. Like I said, I've lived here for 32 years. Maybe Peter's probably 32 years, but I've never felt that. I feel like America is a land of freedom, and there's so much opportunity here. It doesn't matter what country you come from. This is where we all prospect. Lots of doctors, nurses, lawyers all came from India, and they've made it really well over here. They love it here. I don't feel that like I don't know. You must have had a different feeling, but I don't feel that way. I feel more secure here in America than I would feel back home in India. That's just my way. So I love it here. I don't see anything wrong here. People's opinions are people's opinions. But if you live here and you've been here and you've gone through all this, my daughter was in the Air Force, and she's American because her daddy's American. So never has she ever been told that, hey, are you from India? Never, not once, because she's all American, and that's the way she's been born and raised. My older son, same way. My third son, he's going to Orlando to be a computer science. My daughter's a registered nurse. My youngest son is doing cyber. So all good educations, and that's because I'm in the land of an opportunity, land of freedom, freedom of speech. I am very patriotic when it comes to America. I am 100% American, patriotic, and I go all the way. So I really don't agree in many aspects of how people's views are. You got to live here to know what it's all about. That's it. So that's how I go. And by the way, I love America. I don't have any beefs about it. So, and this black and white thing, I don't know. I don't know where it originated from. We don't have that in our country. Like Randy Horton was talking about. What is black? What is white? Who cares? At the end of the day, we are all humans. We have one heart, and we just got to move through it. We're in 2021, for crying out aloud. Why do we have to go in the generations of the old folks? Let it go. Let's move on. Let's be better people, and let's just live our lives. If today we're here, tomorrow we're gone. Why just feel about the old things? We're just going to move forward. We don't look backwards. We go forward. For better, that's it. I look at it that way. I just hear so many people talking about, the old generation and this and that and that. My mom's the same way. I could tell my mom something, she'll turn around and say, no, no, no. In the old time, they did it. No, hell no. It's 2021. Let's move forward, man. People just talk and talk and talk. Negativity just builds on and on and on. And I do respect the 9/11. I do respect it. Don't get me wrong. Lots of people are still suffering from it. But today is 2021, and we got to move forward. We cannot look backward. We've been through so much shit with this COVID-19. I don't know what to say. It has ruined a lot of people's lives.
I'm going to need to
A
jump
lot of
off
people
now.
have gone crazy.
Sorry to interrupt.
But
It's been
when
a pleasure talking to
so
all
when
of you
it comes to
today.
racism,
No worries. Yeah.
when it comes to
Uh,
racism, I don't see any.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks for joining us,
That's it,
Douglas. Yeah,
Peter.
thanks for your perspective, Benita and Raj. Amazing to have you here. Would just like to remind folks that this is the 5-minute news show where you can contribute your commentary on headlines. You know, this discussion has been free-flowing here. We welcome you to come and talk about a headline you're paying attention to that's relevant to you or in your area. So I'm inviting people in from the comments. Feel free to join if you'd like, but we can continue this discussion here. Yeah, Benita, we were having a little trouble with your audio cutting out there at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jump down. That was my
Okay.
say. I'll jump down and you'll have somebody else.
No worries. Yeah. Yeah, Candy, no worries.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome to join as well. Don't worry about going off topic. We have had quite a meandering discussion here today, which has been great. And, you know, if we had folks joining every 5 minutes, we would probably be keeping people to time a little bit more, but it's nice to have a little bit more airtime for this important discussion. Yeah, this is an experiment. Tamer, I invite you to come on up. Yeah, welcome. Let's see. Oh, I think we have another guest with us. Eileen, can you hear us? Eileen Smith.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you so much for being here. Really excited to have you pop in. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for inviting me. This is my second time being on Haps today.
Awesome. Good for you. So what headlines are you paying attention to today in particular? Eileen, do you have anything in mind that you'd like to discuss? You know, we're changing topics here constantly.
Okay, well, there's a lot going on in the podcasting space. That's a space that one of the many spaces that I follow quite a bit. And so let me see. I think I have some notes that I
Look
can
at you,
refer
so
to.
prepared. Oh my gosh.
Well, actually, I'm in the middle of writing my newsletter. Well, I say middle because I have all these articles saved up and I have to figure out which ones I'm actually going to put into the newsletter.
Neat.
Yeah, and I'm in fact, that's a bit of news for folks that Twitter had acquired this site called Revue. That's REVUE. And it makes it super duper simple to create a newsletter. Had you ever heard of it, Peter?
I've never heard of it. That's really interesting. Are they getting into, you know, the Substack sort of model?
Yes.
They are interesting. Everybody's
Yes.
copying everyone these days.
Yes, but the thing is, right now it's free. It's free for folks to set it up, and you can create paid newsletters, like you said, the Substack model. So it's pretty awesome to do that. And so what I love about it is it lets you bring in different, lets you curate with different tools. So one of the tools that I like to use is called Pocket. So I use that to bring things in. Then you can bring things in from your Twitter. You can bring them in from an RSS feed, from a Facebook page. So it's a really cool way to get content out there. Yeah. And so I just want to say hi. Oh, I see my friend James is here. Well, there's a lot of my friends here, but I definitely want to shout out James. He's one of our Let's Get Live community members. So yeah, and our leaderboard champion so far is Randy is here. Hey, Randy.
He is. Yeah, he was on earlier.
I missed that. Well, besides the podcasting, what's really been going on is this whole audio, social audio kind of revolution. And I know you've heard about Clubhouse. And I guess a lot of folks in the audience are familiar with it. And then Twitter has their version, which is Twitter Spaces. Have you guys experienced any of them? Peter, have you ever been on Clubhouse?
I've been in Twitter Spaces and on Clubhouse, and what's funny is that this broadcast even is a little bit of a Clubhouse style format we're experimenting with. Ideally, we could become the video platform for Clubhouse, right? That would be somewhat of Clubhouse plus and more. Obviously, a whole lot more going on. But very familiar with those. Very interesting space you're talking about.
Well, someone said, Deanna says, I'm confused with the appeal of audio only social media. Definitely not something for me. Well, okay, if you're a person, I'll just take Twitter, for example, okay? I've been on Twitter since 2011, I believe. No, 2009. I'm sorry, 2009. And I've got 15,000 followers, okay? Do I know who they are? Have I ever talked to them? Let's say 1,000 of them. I actually, if I saw their handle or a tweet go by, I'll be like, oh, I know who that is. I've talked to them. I've read their blog posts. I've seen a video from them or whatever. But just imagine your favorite folks that you follow on Twitter being able to be in a conversation with them on an app like Twitter Spaces or Clubhouse. And what it's done for the folks that don't live stream, see, we're live streamers. So, and even the folks that are in the audience, most of them, they're accustomed to live streaming. So we talk to each other all the time, right, Peter?
Yeah.
It's no big deal. It's no big deal. There's like no barrier. I know I can jump on Peter's broadcast if he ever invites me. But imagine that someone that you've really looked up to or that you want to learn from, maybe you've never saw the person before, but you could just tell they got expertise by whatever it is that they're talking about. And then they say, okay, does anybody have any questions? And you get that opportunity to get on stage and have that conversation with that person that you've been following for years and you've never got to know them. And they certainly have not got to know you. So that's the beauty of it. Of course, we experience it here with live streaming, but you got to have a certain kind of a muscle, right, to go live on video. Anybody?
Yeah, it's interesting. You bring up a great point about, is there more of a barrier to having, the video element? I guess it's nice with, Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces. You can, be lying down on your couch in your sweats, and you don't have to worry about that, looking good, looking sharp, and all that.
Here's my girl, Candy.
Hey, Candy, let's bring you up here. How you doing, Candy?
And in addition to that, Peter, not just that you don't have to put on makeup, you don't have to comb your hair, you could be in your PJs, but in addition to that, you can also be multitasking, cleaning that corner or that junk drawer in your kitchen that you've been wanting to clean out because you've been looking for that screw.
You know me well. Have you been in my kitchen? Yeah,
that's where social audio comes in at, right? Now, like, even though, like right now, I could turn off my camera and still be part of this broadcast. But me, deep down inside, I would feel kind of lame because I'm a live streamer. So I know what it's like to make that connection and all that with video. But for folks that have never live streamed before or don't even like video, it just opens up to a whole different, it's almost like taking a baby step before getting to live streaming.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. That's fascinating space that you're obviously an expert in.
Oh, okay.
Candy, are you here? Can you hear us okay now?
Can you hear us, Candy? I don't know if you can hear us. We could hear you. Oh, I think Candy's connection might not be that great because I see the video is going in and out.
Yeah.
Seems to be cutting in and out with video and audio.
Okay.
Candy, maybe you can try to exit and come back in here. Would like to also invite folks in from the comments. Let's see here. Kyle, you're welcome to join us here. Yeah, thanks so much for everyone who's jumped in so far. We'll go for another 10 minutes or more here. It's been fun to see kind of the range of, you know, newsworthy topics that people have been wanting to discuss here. And I love the, you know, the diversity of opinions and backgrounds of folks who come on up from the community. Would like to just welcome anyone before we do wrap up in the next 10 minutes or so to join and share.
I want to say, give a shout out to my friend Richard, who's over there bragging about how he already knows me. Yes, Richard Clark.
Hey,
Oh.
Candy, you're back. Can you hear us? Candy, are you there? Yeah.
Can you hear us, Candy? Can you hear us? I don't think.
What is happening right now?
We can hear you. What's happening is you're on screen, but we can hear you finally. So, are you hearing us?
But now you're on mute. Now you're on mute, Candy. Was that on purpose? Oh, there you go.
Muted her, yeah.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
Yeah, weird. Something funky's going on with the audio visual there. I didn't mute her, but anyway, seems to be playing around with the mic there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hey, Walt, good to see you. Juan, thanks for joining. I'll invite you both up if you care to join us in this discussion or share.
Peter, do you mind if I speak to a question that came in? Actually, I want to say, Michelle, I owe you an apology because we were talking about going Twitter Live with the RTMP, and it's not HAPS. Twitter is not working with the Twitter Live with the RTMP. Now, in addition to that, beg your pardon?
Sorry to interrupt you. I was just gonna say, it's their API then, it's on Twitter side, you're saying?
Yeah, because I used the RTMP and I was live in the Twitter back end, in the Twitter producer. I could see myself live. I created a clip because they have this cute little feature, and whenever they get it all working, that, you know, prove that I was live in Twitter, but on Twitter, I was not live, only on the back end. So I know it was their fault. Okay.
Yeah.
But then also this morning, I tried another experiment because, you know, I'm just all about finding all different ways we can use HAPS. Okay.
I love it.
So I tried to do Facebook Live Producer, which also gives you an RTMP key, but it didn't work. So you guys have enough on your plate. I'm not trying to sort that out with you guys yet, because nobody else is even trying to do that except me anyway. So don't even worry about it. It's probably on the Facebook side, but yeah. And so I just wanted to answer Michelle because she was asking. So the Facebook Live Producer did not work within HAPS, and neither did Twitter Live, but Twitter Live is just not working, period. It had nothing to do with HAPS.
Well, you are quite the innovator. You are playing around with, you know, all of those interesting interfaces, and yeah, I appreciate the questions from the audience as well. Yeah, Michelle says the RTMP struggle is real. Yeah, very interesting. So Kyle, I did just invite you up. See if you can join us. Candy, I see you're back. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yay!
Yes, perfectly. Yay! We have finally after four attempts. Really?
Hey, 4 times a charm. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling great and awesome though. There's a lot of things going on all around the world, and I'm just looking at the comments. Wow, this is a really heavy topic.
We've had quite the discussion.
Morning, but I'm excited to know our guys. Yeah, I know it is real. But for today, for us, it's a huge start of something big. And you don't even know what's happening here in Japan, right?
No, tell us what's going on. Yeah, give
So the
us the
first thing
lowdown.
is, I would like to tell you that 3 days ago, we have a 6.9 scale earthquake.
Right.
Just
I
hit
saw
it.
that.
Oh my
You
goodness.
you
Yeah, I
heard
do
it,
remember
Elaine,
that.
right?
Mm.
And it was really, really big. And it was really, I was out of the house, but I was fine. But everything is shaking horizontally, not vertically.
Wow. Man, that
And
sounds
it
pretty
was quite
scary.
scary.
Yeah.
But it's okay. The scale is 4 in Tokyo, but the news all over the world are saying it's 5. Everybody chill. It's only 4 in scale. That's not big. It's not big. It's not big. And then the second is today, starting today, Peter, the Olympic torch relay is going to start
Wow.
today at 10 o'clock.
Well, that's exciting.
It is very exciting. So it will start, you don't know, guys, it will start in Fukushima, which is by the nuclear disaster when there, you know, the places. It's
Mm,
always in the news. It
right.
will be starting there.
Wow. So that's very interesting choice, yeah, of location to kick things off. What, sort of symbolism are they aiming for there? Tell us, for those who may not be familiar, what happened there.
Oh yeah. Just like before, we said about the tsunami, the Fukushima nuclear plant exploded years ago, and
You're back.
I restarted everything. Do you have visual and audio? Try refreshing now if you're viewing
Yep.
and see if it got any better. I just kick-started the servers again. Do refresh.
Yes, and actually, okay. Pablo says all good now. Yay!
Awesome. So guys, what happened is I had about 50 people invited, and I think that broke Caps. So that was likely the cause. I crashed it. That's some user error, I think, that led to that. But great to have you with us, Cheryl. I was just asking you to introduce yourself. It's really nice to meet you here. Uh-oh. Do we have audio? I can't hear you.
Check your mic, Cheryl.
Yeah, she might be muted.
Try using that mic cam button to refresh as well. If you go, if you're on your desktop.
Yeah, she appears to be on desktop. Yeah, down at the bottom where it has a mic and cam, click on that mic and cam button there, and then you'll see something that says refresh devices. So give that a try. Okay. Oh, wait, I heard the chair squeak. Or did I hear somebody else's chair squeak?
Oh, that was
I hope that was a chair squeak. I don't know what's going on now, but
That's my,
just kidding.
that's my microphone.
Hey, Jason, thank you for joining us. Welcome. I
Well,
appreciate
Hey,
you.
thank
Jason.
you. Hello.
Cheryl, I would just go out and come back in.
Yeah, try exiting with that red phone button. Also, let's see.
Exit and come back in. And Jim said, thanks for the assist on the reboot. You're welcome, Jim. That sounded like bodily noise. No, it wasn't me.
Am I live right now, or am I looking at myself?
Kyle, yes, you are live. You're with us here. Thank you for jumping in as well. Great to see you here.
How is everybody doing tonight?
Doing great. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. So do you saw my little reply to your comment about how to get in here?
I did. Thank you very much. I didn't get to see the name of it, but I was going to thank whoever did it for helping me get in here. I'm still trying to learn all the ropes. I'm still a freshman here, so.
Oh, so if you were on Clubhouse, you would have the little party hat on.
Well, you know what? I may have to do that. You know, I may have to do that. You never know. So, hey, I'm open for almost anything. So,
Yeah. Well, perhaps it's such a fun place to hang out.
absolutely.
Let's see if we have Cheryl's audio. Cheryl, are you with us?
Okay, so do you all hear me now?
Yes.
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 That did the trick. Are you on your phone this time?
Now I'm on my phone. You know what? I have been working with my desktop. In fact, Rev have been helping me because I want to stream from my desktop, but I'm having a lot of problems, and it's a brand new desktop. But it's something on my end that I'm thinking. So,
you know what? We need to connect. We'll connect later on. What kind of computer do you have?
Intel.
It's a PC. Okay, yeah, it's a PC. So it's about your settings. So we'll talk offline and we'll get that straightened out, Cheryl.
Okay, good.
Your profile now.
Appreciate your help, Eileen. With tips and tricks and all that. Cheryl, I'd love to invite you to, share any headlines you're paying attention to. The original headline of this broadcast was 5-minute news. So what are you paying attention to? What's on your radar these days in the headlines?
The children in school. Okay, so now I am a nana of a kindergartner and a first grader. And since the COVID, I'm concerned about their education. It's because they're not really getting the quality of in-person, person-to-person. So if you look, a lot of children are failing. It's because they got first of all, they teaching them a new way, and then they doing it virtual. They have changed everything about how they really teach the children. And the only reason I know that is because I'm dealing with a kindergarten and a first grader 7 days. So I'll have them 7 days, and I give my son's baby's mother free. I got to get it off of her because it is real taxing. It is taxing. It's because you're not used to being with those children. You're not used to teaching them. You used to sending them to school, letting the school worry about it, and then taking care of the homework. But the way they're doing it now, the person that's home on the computer is majority helping them learn. The teachers is giving the instructions, but you're sitting there and you're pushing the education in them. But I feel like I tell people I'm not smarter than a first grader.
But you know what, Cheryl, I've been following that topic as well, and pretty much, and this is going to be across the country with the U.S. I'm not sure about other countries, but pretty much most of the schooling is kind of like this past school term is really like a wash. Not saying that kids never learned anything, but they have to rethink all of the standards, with standardized testing and all that. They have to. It's kind of like wiping the slate clean.
It is
now, and really being able to assess the children whenever they do get back into the classroom, and it's really nothing that folks can do now. Especially for those parents who also have to work.
Exactly.
And then trying to homeschool. It's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault.
No, it's
just
not.
the way it is. And
It's the way it is.
our poor kids, had to go through that this year. And hopefully by the fall things will start to come back to normal. Yeah. We all have to
my grandkids looking at me like, this Nana house, this is like you play, you relax, you're not here for no Sit
You,
down.
you
You know,
eat cake and
yeah.
pie.
They
We
looking at
pulled the line
Nana
down
like,
here.
Nana, what you doing? Well, I got to. So now I got to get them up. I got to get them in the front of the iPad. Then I got to be on them about getting their work and completing their assignment. And they're like, no, but this is Nana house. You understand? For a kindergarten and a first grader who's used to, home is the relaxed place, the play place. School is the, okay, we go to school and we know we got to do the school stuff, but it's just so much for them. And I was like, okay, so let's get our children on through. So now I got a notice today that they're saying, if you want your kids to go back to the buildings, there's a form you fill out for your kids to go back to the building. Now, they initially told us that because we signed up for full-time remote, that it had to stay that way. But they are also seeing that kids are being affected by full-time remote. So now that's what I got today in an email. If you want them to go back to the building, then go back. You know, you got to fill out some paperwork.
We've
go back
been
to the
lucky.
building.
We've been lucky in our school district. It's kind of a smaller district, so our kids have basically been all this year pretty much in school except for a couple of weeks.
Jason, what town do you live in?
I live in a small town between Buffalo and Rochester.
Oh, you're in New York. Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm in New York. I'm in yes, I'm in one of the most restricted states there is. But yeah, and the next county over is Buffalo, and they're struggling to get kids back to school.
Hey, y'all, my friend Richard is here. Richard!
Hey, Richard, welcome.
Hi, Richard.
Great to see you here.
I got the wrong camera on, but I'm trying to figure that out now. So
it looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it looks good, Rich.
Yeah, I know, but my other one's better.
We're so small right now since there's so many of us, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one.
You look sharp. Kyle, Jason, just want to give you guys a minute to introduce yourselves to the community as well. Jason, I think you joined first. Thank you so much for making time to jump in and join this conversation. What headlines are you paying attention to in your neck of the woods these days? Jason, we'll start with you.
There we go.
Yeah, we're paying attention to all the vaccinations and things that are going on around here, and also I'm just starting to pick up on some stuff. I'm a gun owner. I am someone who leans a particular way, but I don't necessarily get into those in my broadcast. But I just that's one of the things that I'm noticing is that there's now all of a sudden it's back to this. Oh, we need gun restriction. And I'm like, come to New York. You want to talk about gun restriction? I had to wait almost a year to get my permit, right? To even get a gun, right? And then I had to wait another, I don't know, it was like 3 months because we couldn't buy guns because no one had them. They're all sold. So, so that's kind of what I've been following the last couple of days is the tendencies of how there's some mental health issues and people are immediately going to the first thing that they see, which is, oh, it's the gun. And really we need to step back and look. It doesn't matter what the weapon is. It could have been a knife. It could have been a baseball bat. It really didn't matter what it is. The person was out to kill people, and that's really what it is. As soon as I see the word gunman on something, I right away just go, no. You have to turn around and look at it the right way. It's a killer. That person's a killer. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what tool they use to do it. They were there to do it. So, that's my thing with it, and that, and I'm just I'm glad to be on HAPS, man. Like as soon as we heard about this thing hitting, we were like, all right, we're going over here. I'm going over. I pushed all of my Jesus Did It family over here, right? I brought all my Jesus Did It people over. I got Pastor Rick involved. We got Becky, Rick, and everybody else. You're like, come on, just come over here. Let's support this. Let's get this thing going. And I'm glad to be here and broadcasting on, and we just we love the platform. It's done. You guys are doing a great job, and I know I said it before to you. It's like, we you know uh, it's nice to be able to work with the people who are developing it and actually listen to what we're saying, you know, and
That's the
that
goal,
that's
definitely. Yep. We appreciate you being here. We value your perspective. I'm sure people have a variety
all
of
right.
wide range of views on, this, gun violence epidemic, whatever you want to call it, mass shooting,
Right.
issues here. Just want to welcome you, Kyle, as well, and, hear about what you're, focusing on in your neck of the woods. What headlines you paying attention to?
Well, what have I not? Actually, it's been really crazy. I'm in Texas, so I'm actually in one of the states that's really not restricted. We're one of the ones that our governor, I guess you would call him, restricted every no masks, no social distancing, no rules, restrictions, or anything for the virus. So uh, things around here are hectic and like that, but it's nothing more hectic and nothing more sad than what's been going on in the past or so with all the shootings and stuff. It breaks my heart. It makes me very sad to see these young men and people, for that matter, going out and killing innocent people. You know, literally, you get up and you're going to go shopping one day, and you never know that that's your last trip. Or you're going to go and have a spa day or whatever, and that's your last time. So, for me, I've kind of had some introspective moments where I've, realized life is very short, and I've already known that, but it just goes to show you the world is crazy, and be aware of your surroundings and be aware of everything that's going on, because you never know when there's going to be somebody that's going to do something crazy. You don't ever expect it until after it happens, and then it happens. So, again, we all have our views and all that on guns and all that, and I don't get into politics or anything like that, but I do get into just keeping yourself safe and just keeping yourself wise, as far as of your surroundings, what's going on, and don't try to be a hero. Don't try to be a part-time photojournalist and run into the grocery store when the person's shooting. Run out of the grocery store when the person's shooting. If you know what I mean. We all want that Twitter live moment or that Haps moment and all that Periscope moment. But hey, it's not worth it. But again, like I said, my state is open to schools and no masks, stuff like that. Now counties are different, but so again, so that's kind of been what I've been focusing on, and the things that have been going on. I, you know, to me, it's just a sad thing when you turn on the news. It's not something that's encouraging, but it's now people are now dead. You got grieving families too. It's a sad time that we live
Very, yeah. I'm hearing some background noise. Might just be me. I do have to wrap this up in just a couple minutes here. We've been on air. I've been on air for almost an hour and a half. Richard, just want to welcome you to the community. Would you like to introduce yourselves before we have to jump off? Also, am I frozen out there?
No,
No,
you're not.
I can hear you.
You're not frozen.
Oh, I'm Richard Clarkson. I'm basically a Google guy. Although I don't mind iOS because my family has it, I just don't. I love live streaming, but I haven't figured out yet in here how to connect the places I want to connect to. And I followed Pablo's tutorial on that, but the things he says to do, I don't see on the screen. So I'm totally lost on that.
I'll drop you my email here. Happy to help out with that and walk you through it. Yeah, it sounds like we need to get that squared away. But you got in here fine, which is good. You're just not able to connect your external social media. Is that the issue?
Yeah, the only one I can connect to is my profile in Facebook. That's the only one that I know of.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Got it. Well, happy to assist with that. Hey, welcome to everyone who's joining us here. Not ignoring you all. We do need to wrap it up. I apologize. I need to go now to a meeting. Starts in just a couple of minutes, but this has been amazing. Thank you, Eileen, Kyle, Richard, for joining us, and everyone else who came on today and tuned in.
Thanks,
I have one
everybody.
question before you leave.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure,
Can I
Richard.
ask, all I see on the screen right now is 4 little windows, and then I set my camera to the right one, but I don't know how to get to where the actual broadcast is from here. If I click exit, I end up going out of the whole broadcast.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is. I don't know how to get out of that or this.
Can you take a screenshot for me? That would be really helpful.
I can do it on my phone, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to get
Yeah,
it to you.
I don't like when you're in the broadcast studio, you really don't have a way to watch what's happening on the front side. You'd have to go to the Peters profile or the HAPS profile, whichever one we're on right now, and look for it that way.
Is the program window with the audience view not working then for you, Eileen? I'm seeing us on screen fine here, but you're seeing when it goes out to Facebook or other destinations?
Yeah, I think he wants to see it on the front end, not the back end.
And right now I see 4 squares on the right that are fairly large. Then it has in the middle, it has my camera set up, and then 4 little pictures above that. And then it says 5-minute news, come join.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Right.
yep. That's the way it looks.
So that's the way it looks for right now. We will be, doing some changes, for this whole layout eventually to add in more intuitive features here. But what you're seeing is what we're seeing too, Richard.
Oh, okay.
Can I just say something real quick? And one of the reasons why I haven't done like another tutorial on this is because I know you guys are getting ready to update it. But but I just wanted to say, anybody, if you have questions, I know Peter and Pablo, the inboxes are bursting at the seams. You can just go to my profile and you all message me on any of the platforms, and I'll try to help you out. Alleviate some of the questions that Peter and Pablo don't have time to answer.
No worries. Yeah, no worries at all. I appreciate your help so much, Eileen. Love that tutorial. It's great, the one you did already. But we will be updating, have some exciting announcements very soon on the HAPS front. Absolutely. But I will see you all soon. We will be having a discussion on March Madness in not too long, actually, just another hour or so here. If you would like to join in that to talk about tournament and NCAA basketball, you're all welcome to join those on screen in the audience too.
I want to join that because I'm telling you right now, my Pac-12 teams are in there like Flynn this year. They're all in the Sweet
All right.
16.
I'll invite you, Richard. Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
Hey, take care, guys. Thank you for
Bye,
inviting me.
everyone.
God bless you. Take care, guys.
Thanks for joining in the comments. Bye-bye.